Imagine if Monsters, Inc. wasn't about scaring children to collect screams, but about protecting them from something far worse. What if the monsters weren't terrifying creatures lurking in closets, but the last line of defense between children and a force far darker than we ever imagined? This is the true story of Monsters, Inc., a hidden war between monsters and an ancient evil that preys on human children. In this alternate reality, Monstropolis still thrives on scream energy, but what no one realizes is why. Centuries ago, something else used to enter the human world through the doors. A race of shadowy creatures known as the Hallowed Ones. They didn't scare children, they fed on them. These creatures were drawn to children's innocence and imagination, slowly consuming them from within until the child became nothing more than a hollow shell. The monsters, Sully, Mike, even Randall, weren't villains or workers in a factory, they were warriors. Their mission? Scare the children first, to keep the Hallowed Ones away. Because when a child is scared by a monster, their fear pushes out the darkness. One night, something goes terribly wrong. Inside the vast factory of Monsters, Inc., the floor is bustling as usual. The energy crisis had kept the workers on edge, scrambling to collect enough screams to power the city. It was supposed to be just another shift, another night of controlled chaos. But somewhere deep in the maze of doors, a single red light flashes. A warning that no one notices. A door, forgotten in the shadows, slowly creaks open. A tiny figure steps through. She is small, barely more than a toddler, her big, curious eyes scanning the towering machines around her. Her little fingers grasp the edges of her oversized pink shirt, dragging her stuffed toy behind her. Her name? Mary. But the world will remember her as Boo. For a moment, everything is silent. Then, arms blare, breach detected. Breach detected, red lights flash across the factory, sirens wail, echoing through the halls of Monsters, Inc. Workers freeze in their tracks, turning toward the emergency signals. Doors slam shut, locking down as the security system kicks in. Celia, working at the front desk, fumbles to hit the intercom. Wazowski! We've got a code black. Mike Wazowski, mid-conversation with a coworker, spins around. His single eye goes wide with panic. Code black, not a normal breach, not just a human child getting through, something worse. Somewhere on the scare floor, Sully hears the alarms and takes off running. His massive paws thunder against the metal flooring as he pushes past terrified workers. What happened? Sully roars, skidding to a halt. That's when he sees her, a tiny human girl standing in the middle of the floor, giggling as if she had just walked into a playground. But Sully's eyes aren't on Boo. They're on the shadow behind her. A shape, barely visible against the flickering lights. Long, crawling, writhing. Its movements are unnatural, shifting between solid and smoke, its form barely held together. It drips darkness onto the factory floor, the ground beneath it turning ashen with each step. The Hallowed One had entered Monstropolis. For years, the monsters believed they had sealed the Hallowed Ones away. Centuries ago, their ancestors had fought a war against them, a war that had nearly destroyed both worlds. But the monsters found a way to stop them. By scaring children, they kept them safe. Fear, it turned out, made a child's energy burn so brightly that the Hallowed Ones couldn't take hold. A truly frightened child was like a flame, too hot for the shadows to consume. That's why Monsters, Inc. existed in the first place. They weren't scaring kids for power, they were protecting them from something far worse. But now, the nightmare had returned, and it had found a host. Boo giggles again, oblivious to the darkness slithering at her feet. And then, the creature lunges. A cold, bone-chilling screech rips through the factory. As the Hallowed One lashes out, its shadowy tendrils surging toward Boo. Sully moves on instinct. He dives forward, grabbing her just as the darkness strikes. The force sends him skidding backward, claws scraping against the floor. His heart pounds. He had been too slow. The darkness had already touched her. And for the first time in his life, James P. Sullivan felt true terror. Because Boo wasn't giggling anymore, she was whispering. A language no child should ever know. A language no living thing should ever hear. And her eyes, those bright, innocent eyes, had begun to darken. The hollowed one was inside her now. And if they didn't stop it, both worlds would fall. Sully's massive paws tightened around Boo as she murmured that unearthly whisper. He could feel her tiny body trembling, but not from fear. Something inside her was stirring. The hollowed one hadn't just touched her, it had started to claim her. Sully's heart pounded. He looked up just in time to see more tendrils slithering across the floor, creeping toward them like hungry snakes. The darkness spread unnaturally fast, slithering up the walls, choking out the bright, comforting glow of Monstropolis. "Mike, get the door!" Sully roared. Mike Wazowski was already on it. The little green cyclops scrambled to the console, his fingers flying over buttons. "I'm trying," he shouted, sweat dripping down his face. "But the system, it's locked us out." A horrible, inhuman screech tore through the factory as the hollowed one twisted into an unnatural shape. The shadows lunged again. This time, Sully wasn't fast enough. A dark tendril lashed across his arm, sending ice-cold pain through his body. He staggered, his grip on Boo loosening for just a moment. And that's all the hollowed one needed. Boo's tiny fingers slipped from his fur. The darkness swallowed her whole. Sully roared in fury, diving toward the swirling shadows, but his claws passed straight through them. It was as if Boo had fallen into a different dimension. A twisted realm between the monster world and the human world. "Boo!" Sully's voice cracked with desperation. Inside the shadowy cocoon, Boo opened her eyes. And she was somewhere else. The bright colors of Monsters, Inc. were gone. She stood in a vast, endless void filled with whispers. She saw faces, no, monsters, hundreds of them. Trapped in the darkness, their eyes were hollow, their bodies faded like smoke. "They took us and no one saved us," Boo gasped. Her tiny hands clutched her stuffed toy as the voices wrapped around her like icy chains. A figure stepped forward, tall, skeletal, monstrous. "We were the first, and now you will be the last," Boo screamed, and the entire monster world shook. Outside the cocoon, the power in Monsters, Inc. surged. Lights flickered, machines shorted out, and then the doors started to move. All of them. Across the scare floor, hundreds of doors creaked open on their own. Behind each one wasn't a child's bedroom anymore. It was darkness. Mike stumbled back in horror. Buddy? I think we've got a problem." Sully ignored him. His eyes were locked on Boo's cocoon, his claws digging into the ground. No, not her. She had fought her way into their world, breaking every rule that separated humans from monsters. She had trusted them, played with them, laughed with them, and they were not going to lose her now. Sully lowered his head, muscles tensing, and then he charged. The darkness screamed as he tore through it, ripping Boo from its grasp. A massive shockwave exploded from the cocoon, blasting the shadows backward. The hollowed one reeled, twisting in agony as Boo clung to Sully's fur, tears streaming down her face. "Mike, now!" Mike slammed his fist on the emergency override. With a deafening boom, the doors snapped shut, sealing the hollowed one out of their world. And just like that, the factory fell silent. Boo was safe. Sully held her close, his fur still singed from the shadows. He could feel her tiny heartbeat racing against his chest. The crisis was over. But as Mike cautiously approached, his voice low and shaken, Sully knew the truth. This wasn't over, because Boo had seen something inside that void. Something no human or monster was ever meant to see. And worse, she could still hear the whisper. Sully tightened his hold on Boo, his mind racing. She was safe, for now. But whatever she had seen inside that darkness, whatever had whispered to her, it wasn't gone. Mike stepped forward hesitantly. Buddy, what now? Sully looked down at Boo, her tiny hands still clinging to his fur. She stared up at him with wide, tired eyes, not scared anymore, but curious. And then, for the first time since the nightmare began, she smiled. A small, innocent giggle escaped her lips, and Sully felt something shift. Hope. That was the difference. The Hollowed Ones fed on fear, on the terror that once powered the entire monster world. But Boo? She wasn't afraid. Maybe that was the answer. Sully turned to Mike, his eyes filled with determination. We need to change things, for real this time. Mike blinked. Change what? All of it, Sully said. He glanced around the scare floor at the hundreds of doors still humming with energy. No more fear, no more screams. Laughter saved Boo tonight. Maybe it can save all of us. Mike's single eye widened. You're talking about what? Rebuilding Monsters, Inc.? Sully nodded. A new Monsters, Inc. one that wouldn't just harvest laughter, but protect children. The Hollowed Ones had come for Boo, thinking she was just another frightened child, another easy soul to claim. But they were wrong. She had them. And now? Every child would. A few days later, the entire factory transformed. Laughter energy became the only source of power. Every monster was trained, not just to make kids laugh, but to watch over them, to keep them safe. The fear industry was dead. And the monsters, they became guardians. Sully stood at Boo's door one last time, gently tucking her in. She giggled, her little hand reaching up to boop his nose. Kitty! He chuckled. Sleep tight, kid. Then stepping back, he met Mike's knowing gaze. No more nightmares, Sully said. Mike smirked. Yeah, just a lot of overtime. As Boo drifted into peaceful sleep, Sully and Mike closed the door, not to hide from the human world, but to protect it. And so Monsters, Inc. was reborn, not as a factory of fear, but as a force of protection. No more screams, no more nightmares, only laughter and guardianship. But what if this was only the beginning? What if the Hollowed Ones aren't truly gone? And what if Boo, now older, still remembers the whispers? That's a story for another time. But for now, let me ask you, what do you think? Should Monsters, Inc. expand its mission beyond laughter and become a secret force protecting children from the darkness? Let me know in the comments. If you loved this story, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more mind-blowing what-if stories. Turn on notifications so you never miss another alternate universe. Thanks for watching, and remember, monsters aren't always scary. Some are just looking out for us.